How does it affect your preparation knowing that you just played this team 6 days ago now, 7 days ago by the time the game actually kicks off?
Well, both teams will know an awful lot about one another now. 3 games during the season, and of course last weekend as well. It's fresh in your mind. There's 1 or 2 things that I think we can improve on. No 2 ways about it. End of last week, 3rd game in a week, I think affected the guys in a certain way. And there's certainly areas of our game that we can up. We've had 3 very, very competitive games against them. There's a lot of respect from this camp, of course, towards not only a very talented side, but Shield winners. Over 34 games, they have been far and away the best team. But this is about 1 game now. Over the course of a series, they would certainly be banker favourites, and still are. But over 1 playoff game, we have every single chance of upsetting the odds, and in an environment that we've already experienced and witnessed. I think it's Cincinnati who are under all the pressure. We don't have any. Nobody was even expecting us to be here. So it's we've got to make sure that the day doesn't just become a day out. And I'm absolutely certain that these guys will be ready for whatever's thrown at them.
You kind of mentioned it, and you discussed it a little bit after the game, the fact that you guys had already qualified for the playoffs when Saturday's game kicked off, and you just mentioned, there's not pressure on you guys this weekend. Does that kind of mean the same sort of thing that it meant last weekend, knowing that the expectations for you guys or the necessity of it compared to the expectations is a little bit diminished?
Well,
does this make it easier to play freely, I guess would be the...
I would say the answer to that is yes, it has to. The Cincinnati group are expected to win, and not just win tomorrow, they're expected to win the championship. I mean, that's the pressure they're under. They have a fabulous group, they have a tremendous amount of depth. They're ready for the next step in their franchise history, which is into MLS. But that itself brings pressure. Alan will know that, the players will know that. 20 or 25,000 people in the ground will know that. They'll expect them to win. So, for us, I think the big challenge is making sure that we don't get overly excited in a big occasion and in a good arena. But I think the game in general will be a cup game. I mean, that goes without saying. There'll be energy, there'll be determination, I'm sure there'll be mistakes, and without a shadow of a doubt, there'll be things that go on that could change the course of events, be it good quality, refereeing decisions, and maybe even 1 or 2 moments that are unexpected. So mentally the guys are truly up for that. I mean, it's a great position for us to be in, and they now want to prove yet again that not only are we good enough to be here, but we're good enough to move on.
You guys have played a little bit more offensively in the last probably 3 or 4 weeks, including putting Rapapa on the wing. What went into the decision to try and do that? Was it just kind of, it's time for us to find some serious scoring here? Is that kind of what was behind it?
1 or 2 things. We played a 4-4-2 against Atlanta and won 2-0. We went with the same shape against New York, and the slightly different sides that we were playing against. And in the build-up to it, I wanted to look at a plan B. That plan B was to offer Rapapa a little bit more freedom out wide, or as I'd hoped, still be in an effective and goal-scoring position, at very worst, a creative position, and maybe give us a little bit more balance and fill that number 10 pocket with somebody else, should it not go well. And it's really evolved from there. He's grabbed that position by the scruff of the neck, and he's really made it a spot for himself. He looks as though he's been playing there for most of his career, which is still very young, of course. And he's been very, very effective. And what I think it has done is just given him an opportunity to see the picture, to see the game a little bit clearer without having bundles of bodies around him in that central role. And when he gets isolated, he's been able to show all the qualities he has, his pace, his invention. I certainly think as we move on, there's a lot more to come out of him.
You guys have drawn, if you include even the preseason game, 4 times against FC Cincinnati. Putting some thought into who the penalty takers might be if it happens that way again this Saturday?
We've practiced, as I'm sure every team does. Replicating what will happen at the weekend is very, very tough, as all coaches will tell you. I've got a good idea. Yeah, the guys have enjoyed being in that position and more than anything, just getting a routine. We can't replicate the crowd, pressure, the moment, but they can certainly be ready with their own routine and maybe what is effective for them.
Michael came off in the first half injured on last Saturday. What is his status? Are you expecting to have him available? What are you thinking for him?
Michael's in good shape. Yeah, he's trained the last 2 days. My fear was that he had a hamstring strain. It's now my choice and decision as to whether or not Michael's part of that group. But yeah, he looks like he's ready and available. We'll see if he has any reaction to this morning's work, but he's certainly part of the group travelling.
I think it was your first game back, right? After 5 or so on the bench. What did it feel like to get back out there?
It felt good. You know, this season's been, you know, kind of an up and down. It feels like a good year. Just kind of dealing with some unfortunate, you know, events and some knocks and a little bit of strain, but I tell you what, it's great to be back home and especially play in front of the fans as the first one back.
Were you like, oh my gosh, I forgot how long 90 minutes is?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you do, but I felt like just the fitness work that I was doing in preparation for it, I was ready for it. So it didn't feel too long, but it was good.
Obviously, through the first probably 2/3 of the season, you guys are one of the USL's best defensive teams. 3 goals in the last game, 2 goals to Toronto before that. What has gone on? Is it something that's kind of just a correctable issue that you can kind of bog back down?
Honestly, we think it's just the small things. I mean, just the little mental turnoffs or just a little lapse in judgment or either just a mental break. But you know, now that it's playoff time, it's do or die, and you know, it's time to really lock in.
What is the playoff mentality for you guys? Gary kind of mentioned that the pressure's on Cincinnati. It's not on you guys. Is that kind of how you're approaching your preparation?
1,000% it's on them. I mean, this game they're expected to win. You know, they're the favorites. They're I don't know how many unbeaten, but at the end of the day, when it comes playoff time, it's 0-0. The record doesn't matter, and it's time to go.
You guys have played in front of big crowds a few times at home, a few times away this season. What are you expecting out of the crowd at Nippert Stadium on Saturday?
I mean, to be honest, not really expecting much because it's just us on the field. You know, it's 11v11, and you know they can bring out 40,000, they can bring out 4, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's win or go home. So that's all it is.
What is your mentality in terms of how you're going to shut down the high-powered attack? Like I mentioned, 3 goals on Saturday, but this is a team that scored 3 goals on basically everybody. How do you guys change that so they can't do it?
I mean, I don't think it's anything individually. It's just collectively as a unit. I mean, starting from the front and then working all the way to Pickens in the back. I mean, it's going to be a group effort, honestly, for us to get the job done, and I think we can do it.